Of course we do. My name is...
Beg your pardon? Right.
The comic chronicle of a Peruvian bear's adventures in London charmed audiences to the tune of more than $19 million this weekend.
It's not on the pamphlet, because what you're talking about is what we joke about around here. That's a laugh. Hey, we should try to do a golden tux. Too many moving parts. Too many things can go wrong. No.
But there's a name for it.
There's also a name for a horse with a horn on his head. It's called a unicorn. Don't mean I can get you one.
Audiences said I do to The Wedding Ringer. The comedy with all eyes on the groom ushered in $21 million.
Hold on, I got a woman and a kid 200 yards out moving towards the convoy. Her arms aren't swinging, she's carrying something.
An American Sniper set its sights on #1, taking in a record-breaking $90 million in its opening 3 days. As always, Jason Gorber joins us from twitchfilm.com. Jason, good to see you.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
You know, Paddington doesn't strike me as the kind of movie you'd watch like 28 times.
And yet, Paddington's excellent. It's an extraordinary film. It really is.
And why is that?
It looks terrible, but it's actually great. It's incredibly well done. Look, it's obviously kid-friendly, but it's really beautifully and elegantly done. The story is actually quite effective. And look, Paddington is essentially a central metaphor for immigration. It's this bear who comes to Peru and is trying to integrate into English society. And obviously, for lots of reasons, that is a very relevant story these days. And given that fact that it never is too heavy-handed with the metaphor, it still remembers that, after all, it's a talking bear movie. So there's a bunch of slapstick, there's a bunch of silliness, but it's really elegantly and beautifully told. It's actually one of the better films I've seen all year.
Another very relevant topic now in American Sniper.
Yeah, so American Sniper I hold to a slightly higher standard, and for me it did not work. Lots of people love this film. I am not one of them. Clint Eastwood definitely has a particular ideology that he's bringing to this film, which, independent of all that stuff, I just think this is an extraordinary story that wasn't told as well as I wanted it to, and maybe that's sort of a chip off of what it's doing. The actual story that it tells, the man at the center of the narrative, is a truly compelling person. He told in his autobiography lots of tales that were accurate, some tales that were not so accurate, and we won't hold the film to what it gets right and what it doesn't get right in particular. In moments, Eastwood absolutely nails it, but sort of when it falls apart in a kind of a spectacular way. He's very famous for doing all his takes super quick. So, for example, there's a rubber baby moment that lots of people are actually pointing out. Instead of using sort of a rented infant as they do in some films, they actually have a rubber child.
Really?
So I swear to God. So it's actually distracting while watching it. You're like, why is that baby sort of flopping around? But it's because Eastwood just wants to get the take in. That's what he wants to do. This is his whole shtick. So it's little things. I mean, that's just sort of a filmmaking thing. But in terms of what it's telling, the story it's telling, look, it's an incredibly complicated war. It's an incredibly complicated story told about a guy who saw the war very much in black and white. The film does that, and so my challenges are sort of partially about the story that it tells, but also its execution. Look, this is Eastwood's best film in years, but unfortunately that's not saying much.
Another battle now, Black Hat, about cybercrime.
Right, here's another guy who's been making sort of okay films in the last little while. Michael Mann is loved as some people as a major auteur, but really Black Hat has moments that don't suck, and that's as much of a glowing tribute as I'm going to give. He kind of tells the same film over and over again. I was saying it's better than The Net, that Sandra Bullock thing. It's a film about hacking, and it's done with enough stylistic nature that some people completely go for it. I think it's only okay. Some people really hated this film.
Only about 30 seconds left for 2 days, 1 night. Belgian directors.
Right, so Dardenne Brothers bringing Marion Cotillard, who got a surprise Oscar nomination for this. This is a film I didn't particularly love, but some people adore. It played Cannes, and it's getting lots of notice. And even though I didn't love the film and I didn't love the narrative, she's fantastic in it. So if you want to see one of the big performances of the year, definitely check this one out.
Absolutely. At Filmfest_CA is where people can follow you on Twitter. Jason, have a great week.
Take care, Scott.